how's it going, Carter?
Good. How are you?
Good. Good talk to you again. Last time we talked
Yes.
about Swallowed. Now we're talking about The Passenger. I
Yes.
absolutely love this movie.
Oh,
Um,
good.
I felt it almost started like a horror movie, but then it became more of a psychological cat and mouse thriller between the two lead characters.
Yeah.
So I like that it looked like it was going to go one way, but then completely went a different direction. I think that's what helped with the film.
Yeah. I love sort of subverting expectations when it's possible.
So how did you get involved with the project? Where did that all come from?
I had made a film with Blumhouse before, called Midnight Kiss, and so we had always talked about finding something else to do together. And this sort of slot in their slate of films that they were doing was open. And so I actually found this script. I got it from Jack and brought it to Blumhouse and said, what about this? Which is sort of not the way that they normally come about. Usually they've got the script and then they hire the director and they hire everyone.
Yeah.
But this kind of happened. I think that having worked together once before, we kind of knew how well we all worked together. And so, it was going out and looking for the script and then, really sort of being passionate about, even though this isn't horror and even though this doesn't necessarily fit into the expected box of what a Blumhouse movie might be, like, it was fun to kind of get the freedom to kind of explore sort of something that was like horror adjacent or horror parallel, or there's horror elements for sure, but that it wasn't like a straight up horror film.
No, and what I really liked about it was the performances of both Kyle Gallner and Johnny Birchtold. I mean,
Yeah.
Johnny's great as this like really timid character who we see throughout the film gaining that confidence, and it's all because of Kyle. Kyle like invokes the confidence in him, although he does it kind of unorthodox kind of way, obviously.
Yeah, it's not like the most healthy or like, yeah, and that was, reading the script, that's what was so fascinating to me, was like the fact that something, someone who's done something so horrible and someone who is so kind of morally ambiguous could be such a sort of positive and help Johnny's character, help Randy come to terms with his own shit so much. Like that was super fascinating and really fun to play with.
Exactly, and they had such great chemistry together.
Yeah.
Even when the scenes where Kyle wasn't getting in Johnny's face, they kind of seemed more like it seemed like they were having a brotherly bond in a few spots throughout the film.
Yeah, it's like a weird buddy movie. It's like it's got elements of like a weird buddy movie. Like, you know what I mean? They're on the road. It's a but it's I call it a coming of age hostage road trip thriller, but that's only because coming of age hostage road trip buddy thriller doesn't sound as good. Like, like but it has that element of like, Johnny sort of becomes, Randy becomes this sidekick in a way that is being forced to face his demons and stand up for himself.
Exactly, and Liza's great, in her scenes as well. I know
Yeah.
she showed up in the opening where we see what caused Randy's trauma, and then seeing her at the end, seeing that she's come to terms with what she went through. I mean, that was fascinating as well, because I was expecting, like, when he sees her again, I thought like something bad, like at first bad was gonna happen like right off the bat, but
Yeah.
once she
But
finds out that that she came to terms with what he accidentally did in this fit of rage, it's like, okay, I'm kind of feel relieved that you're not ticked off
yeah,
anymore,
it
basically.
opens up his eyes, and the fact that like, okay, like it's he spent how many years imagining how he ruined someone's life. And I think that that was a key moment for Randy, to realize like, okay, yes, horrible things can happen, but you can also move on from them and not let them destroy you.
Yeah, and there are a few spots that actually made me laugh. I like the part where Randy tells Benson, I failed second grade. He goes, "What'd you do? Color outside the lines." Like, I actually was laughing at that because it was
Oh,
kind of,
good.
it brought that little bit of comedy relief between the whole tense movie altogether. But
Yeah,
those little bits of comedy, I think, helped. Like, it kind of gave it like a break from
Yeah,
crazy.
the bleakness and the sort of the darkness of it. It's that's one of the things that I really loved about Benson is that he does have this like streak of like messed up humor that is kind of there throughout.
Then how long did shooting take, and were there any problems that you faced during production on this one?
I mean, we shot, I can't remember if it was like 26 days or 25 days or, it was fairly quick, but like, we had, we had the resources that we needed. And I mean, the biggest challenge with something like this, was figuring out, because so much of the film takes place on the road and in that car. And I did not want to shoot anything with a green screen. Like from the beginning, I was like, I'm not, like, don't even try to talk me into it. It's never going to happen. And so that just means that, shooting in either with them really driving the car or, being pulled on a process trailer, that just means that all of those things have to be incredibly well planned.
Yeah.
And, figuring out, okay, where you're driving and where you're, what's outside the window, and is what's outside the window behind Randy the same as what's outside the window behind Benson. And like, so that was like a logistical kind of thing. And then of course, like anything involving stunts and special effects is always like a big unknown until you get there on the day.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you know,
Those shotgun
and
blasts that start the film, I mean, those stunts were amazingly done, especially with the bully's
yeah,
character. The way he
yeah,
just flies, the way he just flew, I thought that guy actually
yeah,
hurt himself.
yeah, it was intense. And I think that, we shot that and there was like this kind of silence because it was really, it kind of took everyone by surprise how horrific it was. And we just did one take and that was it.
Wow. Was that all shot in a small town? Because I mean, I know they mentioned
Yeah.
that it doesn't a small, so that was just one small
Well,
town.
we shot in New Orleans, or outside of New Orleans. We basically pushed the limit of how far outside the city because I wanted it to be as rural as possible. All those empty roads and those sort of forgotten, burger joints
Yeah.
and stuff. So
Because I know you were mentioning the actual driving and everything. So it made me wonder, because I know it was supposed to be set in a small town. Like, did you actually use like an actual small town? So that pretty much answered the question.
yeah, they're New Orleans adjacent small towns.
That's awesome. So finally, after this, what's next for you that you can talk about? Is there anything going on?
I mean, nothing yet. We'll wait for these strikes to work themselves out. I mean, I don't know,
Yeah.
how quickly that'll happen, but until that happens, I'm kind of just laying low. I made 2 movies last year. I mean, this is my second movie to come out this year, so I'm
Right.
like, there's kind of like a nice moment of like, okay, I can relax for a little bit.
Yeah, and it's cool because
Yeah.
you did a full on like body horror film first this year, and then now you did this psychological like cat and mouse thriller second time. So I guess it all worked out well. And I do hope that the writers and actors do get what they feel like they need to get, because this is just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's early days. We'll see what, how it shakes out. I think it's pretty complicated. And I think that, yeah, I think we'll all be happy if the actors and the writers get what they need.
Well, in the meantime, The Passenger will be on digital and on demand August 4th, and then it'll go on MGM Plus later in the year. And this is a great movie. It has a psychological cat and mouse style film. And Carter, thank you again for taking the time to talk about it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, take care.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.